Well, hello, welcome to Aquatic Colledge Creations. My name is Bry and this is my brand new YouTube channel. So in this first video I'm going to show you some archive footage, and it's all about my first frog vivarium that I set up. So I'm used to keeping aquatic stuff such as my marine tank, which I've had for approximately 15 years. Also got a koi pond which I've built about 4 times over the last 8 years, the last one having a waterfall, and then I've also had tropical tanks. Now I had a tropical tank up to this time last year. Unfortunately it cracked at the bottom and all the water came out and went through the floor, so I wanted some sort of equivalent so I've got no risk of water coming through. So I've decided to build a paludarium. So this dart frog paludarium is my first build. So I'm going to show you the archive footage now, and then I'll come back to you at the end of the video. Well, I've been researching dart frogs for about 6 months now, and I've finally decided I'm going to have a thumbnail variety because they're the smallest, and I've chosen arena blancas. Now these are a really good beginner frog. They're a community frog, so there's going to be no aggression between the males and females, and I think they'll be happy in a small habitat. Now arena blancas like height, so on my small unwaterlogged desk I've got a dynamic 58 aquarium. I'm going to convert this into a paludarium, which should give me the ideal height for the frogs to go around the top, but also allow me to have a water section at the bottom. So this is my basic design. So this is my vivarium, and I've got an access column, and that's where the water pump at the bottom, I can access it, so the power cable will come out of there, and then if I ever need to access it I can just pull the pump out, and then from there it's got the pump that comes up on the tubing, and it's going to pump the water through and down the waterfall. And then that, what I'll do, I'll go in the water, so all this at the front will be water round to here, and then it'll go through underneath back to the reservoir, and then it'll pump it round in a loop. So I'm going to make that out of plastic column, which will go in the corner, and then that way I don't have to wreck the escape. And then the rest of this can be all logs and wood, which I'll use expanding foam it all in around the edge, and then I can plant it. And then that way, with that water source, should keep the humidity, and it'll save me spraying it all the time. So my vivarium build centres around the waterfall. So I've bought a small little vari pump off eBay, and I've just glued it to the top of the cereal stone, and I've made a waterfall out of cereal stone, bogwood and silicon, just to test it to see how the flow rate is and whether it'll work in the vivarium. So it all seems fine to me. So let's start with the main build. So this is what I'm going to be using as my vivarium. It's an Aqua One Dynamic 58, and it's 35 by 35 by 58 high centimeters. Fully glass aquarium, glass sliders on the top, and I'm currently using a fluval plant LED, fully programmable, so it does from sunrise to sunset, etc. So I have made a waterfall. So this is, the water's going to go up here, down, and into the pool, and then circle back around. So I've siliconed all this together. These bits here, I did a test run, and there was a few little gaps, so I've siliconed that. You won't see it once the plants go on it, but that's where I'm up to with that. And then to foam the tank, it's quite constricting because a lot of vivariums have the doors at the front, but this one obviously hasn't because it's more of a fish tank. So what I've decided to do is to make a wooden template out of some old chipboard, the same dimensions as the tank, and then if I can try and scape it with the foam and stuff into the what I need it to do in the shape, and then hopefully I can transfer the foam that I carve and create. So this is where I'm up to so far. So I have built a wooden frame. You can see it's the dimensions of the Aqua 1 tank up to this line at the front and up to this part at the top. So this is a weir. So I've made a little weir there so I can put the pump down, and I've got a small heater I'm going to put in as well. They're going to sit in the bottom of here. It's just basically quick access. I don't want to be pulling rocks and twigs and stuff like that every time I need to do some maintenance, so all that's going to be in the weir at the back. And so far what I've done is I've used expanding pond foam. So I've used, they're stuck together, I've used 2 cans of this. So it's the DAP touch and foam. It's the same as what I used on my koi pond when I was building my waterfall. Same stuff. It's safe for pets. It's really good stuff. So what I've done, sprayed the bottom first. The waterfall is going to be going on there, and then it trickles down into this. This is going to be where the pool is. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to carve all this, shape it into the rocks. And then I'm going to cut a middle bit out here, because what you need is a false bottom for Vivarium. So I've made this egg crate, so that's going to slide in and sit inside here. And then this is going to have clay balls, and then this bit's going to be empty because I don't want any of the clay balls going into the pump, etc. So that'll be clear. Obviously have some bits through so the water can get through. I've got some green netting I'm going to use so the water can get through, but tadpoles or shrimps or anything that I'm going to have in can't get back through the other way. And then yeah, once that falls bottoms in and the water falls in, then I can start putting the other bits of wood and stuff in it, and then yeah, silicone it all in. But what I need to do is carve these into the shapes that I want. I think I'm probably going to have to cut this in half and put it in there in 2 halves, but we'll see how we get on. So yeah, I'm up to the carving stage now, so hopefully it'll look a bit more natural. Once I've carved it, I've got silicone that you paint on it, and then you put the substrate on it. I've got some soil substrate with forest stuff, as you can see. Excuse the mess, but this is my workshop. Got some forest soil, and it's got bits of coconut husk and all that stuff in, so that's basically going to be covered on there so the plants can grow up. I've got a few plants which I'm just testing now with I've just sprayed it so the humidity's gone over 100%. The temperature's 19.4, so I'm just monitoring it. Obviously when it's set up I'm going to let it run for a couple of months and mature. Yeah, and then add the plants and see how we get on. So yeah, that's where I'm up to now. So I'm just going to start doing some carving, try and get it a bit more natural. You've got to get rid of all this shiny bits so the silicone sticks to this. I've tried a bit there, so this sticks to this bit here, and then yeah, it should look a bit more like rocks rather than just bits of foam. Which, as you can see, I've made a start now, so it looks far better once the shiny bit's removed. So I'm just taking my carving knife, taking it out. I saw a lot of people rip it out with the fingers as well, just so it looks a bit more natural rather than just straight lines everywhere. So yeah, this is the front bit. So this is going to be up against the glass. I want to be able the frogs to come all the way to the front on the moss, so I want that up against the glass. I don't want too much water at the front, and then obviously this will stagger back, and then the waterfall will flow. So I need to get it so when the rocks on there and the water's flowing over. I don't want too much noise, I don't want a trickling noise, so I need to gauge that level depending on when I put the rock in. But I need to get this lower, and I need to make a segregation gap at the back because the expanding foam has expanded, and you can see there's literally no gap whatsoever. So I need to cut out a groove, leaving this quite high and then dropping back so I can get the egg crate in, and then that way we have the we'll be able to get the substrate layer in on top above the water. So an update, I've managed to carve all this. Basically I think it's round about the right height. I've also carved a bit out the middle, and I've made an insert all the way around there. You can see it drops down, so the false bottom now slots in. So I've got to make some holes in basically so the water can get through into this bit here, and also into this chamber here, which is where the heater's going to go, and the pump at the bottom. So, but that's nice and clean. So what I need to do is I'm just carving a bit out the back just to get this putting in place, so I know that's going to be nice and level. This is going to get covered in weed membrane, which lets the moisture out, but it doesn't let the substrate go through. So it's nice and good now. So I'm just making a start on the back piece. I've taken quite a bit out of here because it was out quite far with the expanding foam, so that's going to go further back so I can get this. So we just try this now. So to sit so it should sit round about like that, and there's a cave underneath, so if the frogs are quite scared they'll be able to go under there, and then we've just got the pipe work to put into there to come out, so that'll basically run down and run down there. Yeah, and then I've got some extra bits of wood like this bit here, so these are going to go in loose. Don't know how they're going to go in yet, and more that way so the frogs can go on them, but there's also some bits to go in like that, but I'll add those afterwards. It's just basically the foamed bits. So with the foam coming out, I've carved down this side here, so you can see it shows a bit more of the wood. I've just got to do around this bit and obviously get rid of all this ugliness here, carve it all back. I'll get a bit more depth, and then I'll be cutting it. I'll cut it first before I and try it in the tank before I take it back out and silicone, coat it in silicone, and then put the substrate on. I'll have to do that flat, so obviously the substrate doesn't all fall off. We'll do that, and then when the plants grow up it'll stick into the substrate. I think I've done all the carving that I need to do so far, so I've just put a pipe through from the back chamber. That's going to go on there for the waterfall, but I'll show you what I've done inside. So let's move the waterfall out. So basically what I've done this morning, I've put 2 access holes going into the middle bit, so underneath the false bottom we have, this is the main chamber where all the clay balls are going to go, into that bit there. So there's a outlet through into there, that leads into that chamber, and then it leads into this chamber which has got the heater, and it'll have the pump at the bottom to pump the water up and out the pipe. And then I've got another one at this side near the front, so that'll do the same again. That'll pass water through, but that goes straight into that chamber. So I'm hoping that the 2 lots of water access is enough. The flow is not that much that's going to go down the waterfall, so that should be more than enough waterways into it. So yeah, other than that, I've not done any more on the foam. It's all done, ready. Access panel down there, the chamber. That's looking good. So the next job is to take this out of the frame, and then I'm going to put some netting on the back of these holes and on either side of there, so nothing can get through. No tadpoles, or if I do get fish eventually, which I doubt it, but if I do get any little tiny fish, they're not going to get into the back bit. And then once that's done, it's a case of stripping this tank, cleaning it down, putting the base in, and then I'm going to have to cut this down the middle, and then into two sections, because it won't fit in as one because of the rim. So I can either take off the rim, which I might do, look at to see how easy it is to do, because it's not having water up to the top, and that way I can slide it in as one. So yeah, so far so good. Wish me luck on the next stage. This is going to be the make or break, seeing if these fit into that one. So I've managed to get the base out. It's all come out in one piece. Just been taking a loads of the little bits of cellophane off. But other than that, it's success with the base. Just need to tidy it up underneath, and then I'll get some netting put on the backs of those two bits. So yeah, it's turned out really well. Well, I've got the base in now. Luckily it fits, and I've managed to get the back bit off. Just gotta clear all this plastic off it now, neaten it all up a bit, and then it's a case of trying to get that into the... So I have managed to get all the foam in. So I've got the base and the waterfall, and I've managed to get the foam piece in as one, but unfortunately there's a gap, so I don't know how, because the dimensions are right, but the foam must have contracted a bit over time. Even though it's expanding foam, there's a little edge, which is not too bad because it's allowed me to get the whole piece in as one. I've not had to cut it. But what I'm going to probably have to do is get some more foam and just foam along the edges. And I've had this netting left over, which I've not used, brand new. So what I thought I'll do, I'll use that as like a filter mesh. So when the water is travelling back through there into the back chamber, it's got to go through the holes, and I didn't want them open holes because I don't want anything going in there like tadpoles, hopefully, or if I get any small little fish, I don't want them to go through. So what I've done, I've put some netting, siliconed it with the H6, which I was recommended. So I've siliconed the two inlets from the main pool, and then the bit within the section where the clay balls are going to go, because I don't want any clay balls going through there and going into where the filter is, because I don't want the filter getting blocked up. I want that quite empty where the heater and the filter is. So yeah, so I've netted that bit. That should be the final bit for the build. I'll put it that way so the silicone doesn't stick to the table. That'd be a good idea. So the next stage I've done, I have siliconed the foam base into the bottom where I want it. There's a little gap on either side, so I'm waiting for some more foam because I've run out to basically seal either side so nothing can get down the back. I've put all the clay balls in the middle, so that's going to be the main filtration bit. So the next bit I have done is the false bottom, which goes over the top. It was going to be empty, but I thought, seeing as though I've got loads of the hydro balls left, I've still got half a bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some down the sides and the back when the extra foam comes, and then what I'm going to do is put a layer of the balls in the egg crate. So what I'm doing is I'm using some of that fishing net. Had loads left from when I used did the little cavities for the water to go through. So I'm going to put netting on both sides. So I'm going to put net in there, and then I'm going to put the clay balls in between, and then this is going to fold over, silicone it in, so we've got a clay ball layer, and that way it'll help with the with absorbing the water that comes through from the soil. Then on top of that I'm going to put the weed membrane. That'll slot on the top of here, and then next bit we can do is we can do the soiling for the back piece, silicone that in, and then we can put some substrate in once the foam arrives. So yeah, that's what I'm up to now. So I'm just waiting for this silicone to dry. We'll put the clay balls in next, seal it off, put it in there, and then it's an extra bit of drainage layer. So now that that's done, I've now got the weed membrane. So I've basically put that over the top, and what I'm doing is I'm pinning it into the foam with this. So this little wire hook. So what I'm doing is making little hoops and pinning them into the foam. As you can see, that one there, pinning them into the foam, so that way it keeps it down. By the time it's got the rock on that side and the substrate anyway, it'll weigh it down. But this is basically the top layer, stopping the substrate dropping down into the clay balls and into the water, but it lets the moisture through. So yeah, I'll keep on pinning this now, and then could be time to do the top bit. The edges, I've cheated. I was waiting for the pond foam to come, but I've used these are bits of foam that I had left over from what I was going to make on the base. So I've basically cut them to size, fitted them in. They might look a bit ugly at the moment, but when I paint the silicone on and put a bit of soil on the top, and once it grows in with moss and algae and bits of aquatic plants, you won't be able to tell the difference. So rather than waiting an extra week, which is going to be a week and a half for the foam, I've used those instead. So yeah, let's crack on, and then we'll do the top bit next. So now that I've got this in place, the next bit to do is to do my background. So I've got my silicone ready. I've got my background. It's upside down at the moment because I'm going to start up here, silicone it, and then I've got some of the substrate in this tub. So any of that falls off, goes back into the tub. I can reuse it. So I'm going to silicone this bit here, and then put the soil on, do it in sections, and that way the silicone doesn't go off too quick. I'll get the soil on the back, and then that way the plants can grow up it. And then once that's up, I'll let it all set, and then I'm going to silicone it to the back of the tank. Well, I've got the back in, and now I'm just starting to add my plants. So I've added some mini oak leaf. So I've glued a bit to that wood there, and then I've also added some of the little plants. I can't remember the name of them, but I've either pinned them to the back using the pins the same as what I used to pin the base down, or I've used some glue, and I've used this, which is Loctite. It's suitable for it's basically fish safe. I use it for my corals and I'm just going to attach the bromides. I'm not a massive fan of these because they're quite big and I think they ruin the perspective, but a lot of tart frog people use them in their aquarium, so I think I can attach it to this wood here around this bit there. So I think I can attach it to this bit there with a tie wrap. I saw it in the video, he did that, added it with tie wraps and then added some sphagnum moss, glued it around it just to hide the tie wrap and for it to blend in, and apparently they don't need that much soil. So we'll give that a try. It's been growing like mad in the soil I've got, so I've kept it in some of the soil. So I've planted all my plants all in there now, so I've glued a lot of them down in the rocks and against the foam. Excuse the spray, I've just been spraying them to keep them moist, and I've put them all around the wood. Apparently the Anubis you can keep outside of the water, so I've tried a lot. We'll see what grows and what doesn't. That's from above. As you can see, there's quite a bit of plants, all from my tropical tank, so we'll see how it develops. So that is it. That's the build complete. I'm glad the pump's quieting down a bit. It was too loud, but it's just bedded in, so now it's really quiet. So I've put some tape here just at the water level, just so I can see how much it depletes. There is a bit dripping down there, just down the edge, so that's just going to wet that front bit. I'll monitor that. I might have to silicone it. Other than that, yeah, success I think. Just got to see how it matures over the next couple of months. I'm not planning on getting any livestock till spring. It's now just January the 3rd, so for a few months I'll see how the plants grow. I've just sprayed all this, so this is why it's all soaking wet. I'll give it a good spray. I'll see how it matures, see what grows, what dies, and then we'll go on from there. So overall, success for my first vivarium. It's just a learning curve from now on. So thanks for watching, and I'll update you in a couple of months. As you can see, it's got dark now after that long duration of that first video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was my first vivarium build. I learnt a lot as I went through it, and as you can probably guess, within a few weeks I'm going to make a change to it. So look out for part 2. I promise it's not as long as part 1, but yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. If you want to like and subscribe, I'd much appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks for watching.